All right, I've got a couple minutes after 2. We'll get started, and then we'll open up the Committee on the Oversight Commission of Alabama Opioid Settlement Funds. I appreciate this committee and your time for being here. I know a lot of you drove a long way, and appreciate the interaction on the email related to the potential supplemental appropriation related to the opioid funds. A lot of good interaction. I sent each of you early on, I think actually twice, a copy of our statewide plan. Certainly encourage you to look at that. If there's other aspects of that you want to engage in, you know, certainly let myself or Chairman Albritton, either one, to add to a future agenda. But I think we've got a good recommendation for you here today. We're going to keep the presentation short. We do have a lot of people here, though, because I brought everybody here. If you have any questions about any of the line items, we've got the right people here to answer it. So with that said, Commissioner, welcome as a real commissioner. Yeah. Happy to have you on board. I made some positive comments about you. I got time to sit down with you, and you truly care about all veterans in Alabama, and we appreciate that very much. And with that said, Commissioner Boswell, we'll start with you. And I know this will be a little bit redundant, so you don't have to be real long. I'm not telling you to cut it short, but hear from her. I mean, obviously, the commissioner and her team manage so much of our opioid dollars. Once this committee makes those recommendations to the full legislature. Commissioner, thank you.
Sure. Happy to see some familiar faces today, and a couple of sheriffs I've visited with recently, and the troublemaker that we always know is in the crowd.
Yeah,
right
we
here
appreciate them very much.
It's your job to keep him straight today. I understood that's always your job to keep him.
Well, these opioids have certainly had a huge impact on what they do every day.
Okay, let's see if the clicker works. All right, so some of this information we shared with you at the last meeting, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. So for round 1, we had 32 grants, and this gives you a little bit of a breakdown of the status of those grants. We did have 3 awards that spent none of their money the first year, and you'll see a little bit later in the presentation, we freed up that $800,000. Since they did not allocate those funds or spend those funds. So now I'm going to have a little trouble seeing it myself. Yeah, right. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. All right. We had 9 agencies that were funded for the second round, right? That were also funded in the first round. Was it 9 different agencies? 11, I believe. We had 11 folks that were funded in the first round that received a continuation grant in round 2. So we had a total of 32. Starting with some of the outcomes, we went through these pretty carefully last time. This shows the outcomes for prevention. Most exciting to me on that list is confiscated 13 pounds of medication through the drug take-back program. For our treatment outcomes, we served 388 adults, 103 youth, and 491 folks were served in total. Over 4,000 treatment services were provided. And as we talked about last time, in every one of these, you'll see Narcan distribution because we distribute Narcan wherever we can. So prevention, treatment, recovery, all of those. So the recovery grants, we served close to 6,000 people in the recovery grants. So round 2, we did increase the number of people we awarded. If you looked at the last slide, we had 32 awardees. This time we had 41. And this just gives you a breakdown of which ones were in prevention, treatment, and recovery. You also, the committee, you have a list in front of you of the individual organizations who received those grants. So, yeah, so it's the colored sheet in front of you, yeah. So lessons learned, we talked about this a little last time. Some organizations really did need more hands-on assistance than others. So we created a mechanism where we can do more of that hands-on assistance. We did cap awards last time, or this time in round 2, We learned from round one kind of ballpark what the requests were for prevention, treatment, and recovery. So we capped prevention at $75,000, treatment at $350,000, and recovery at $150,000. We also learned that we need to train providers on outcomes and setting good outcomes at the front end so that when we come in and monitor the grants, that data is available. One of the most exciting things for us, one of our goals was to increase the number of certified providers that we have in the state, and I am happy to report through this process, we've increased that by 25 new providers. So we accomplished our goal of going kind of outside the norm with the providers that we usually fund, and so we now have 25 new providers. As you recall, we do have money set aside for the Veterans Pilot Programs. We did release that RFP on February 7th. Questions were due by February 21st, and then the responses are due on March 24th. With that project, the Veterans Pilot Program, the RFP Selection Committee, we have set some parameters for that committee. We did offer that opportunity to the Veterans Mental Health Steering Committee that's been operating over the last 6 months or so. 50% of that committee will be veterans, and the rest of the committee will be non-veterans. And we did feel a need to put the bottom statement, no one on the selection committee can be employed by, on the board of, or contracted with any organization applying for funds. So I mentioned the $800,000 from round one. We took that $800,000 and then $2.2 million from round two that was unallocated to set aside for co-occurring civil commitment beds. Right now we have a project in Chambers County. We are working with the Association of County Commissions to have matching funds from the local community to match the dollars that we have at the state level. So in Chambers County right now, the game plan is to add 4 additional civil commitment beds, co-occurring civil commitment beds to an existing 12-bed crisis residential unit at $400 a day. The current commitment is $100,000 from Chambers County Commission and $100,000 from Opelika City Council for 3 years. We are also working with Blount County to add 2 additional beds to Hillcrest Hospital. In a hospital setting, we pay the Medicaid rate, which is $850 a day. We don't yet have a commitment from the county commission, but we're working on that. Escambia County, the Community Mental Health Center is working to stand up a 16-bed crisis residential unit to actually serve multiple counties. They are working with several county commissions and cities to look at what money can be added to funds that we would provide. We are also working with Northwest Alabama Mental Health Center to expand mobile crisis services in Walker and Fayette counties. They have really some phenomenal work going on there. And really the only part of the crisis system of care they need at the moment is expansion of mobile crisis. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions about the grant process or the current allocations to the Department of Mental Health? Dr. Stutz?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Roughly, as you administered all these grants, what percent did your department spend on administrative costs?
We didn't ask for any additional funds for administrative costs, so we're basically doing it under our current operating budget. So we didn't add any staff or ask for any additional administrative cost. We have probably 2 to 3 people who are dedicated to this project, not necessarily full-time, but we used our existing staff to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, and I think we'll have some comments related to the marketing.
Yeah, so I think our telegraph folks are here.
Okay, Brian Conley.
If you've been driving up and down I-65 or I-85, you've probably seen the new ads. So we're very, very excited about the work that they've been doing with their ad campaign.
I've seen them. Good job. and the website. Have the members seen the website? Have you had an opportunity? I'm sure we'll talk about it today real quick. Welcome, Mr. Pro Tem. A little busy these days.
All right. Thank you for allowing me to be here and have a little bit of time. And
Welcome.
as
Thank
you
you.
said, it's always nice to see that folks are seeing the work that's being done. There has been quite a bit of work done in the last quarter specifically, and I'm gonna kind of rapid fire on a few things to provide updates. So we did do what we call a soft launch in the marketing world, because part of this is we're building the assets and we're building the creative elements that are needed, and that takes some time. But at the same time, we didn't want to not be out in the market with some awareness building efforts. And so, as you all noticed, we've got some outdoor boards that are really about broad reach awareness up and down I-65. At this point, it will broaden the reach over the coming months. But we also have digital banner ads. We soft launched social media channels. We did have some challenges there. I won't get into the details, but Meta and Facebook tend to have issues with the word opioids, and so we actually have found a workaround, and we're working with them at a national level with Meta to help get clearance so that we don't have problems long term with this from a momentum perspective. And then also developed what we will call a microsite. This is going to show you some of the development of the work that we've done from an outdoor perspective. Again, this is about seeding awareness about opioids at the early stages, and what it can take from you if you are not aware of what it is, and how quickly you can become addicted, but also that there is hope, that there is recovery, that it is possible, and ultimately we want to be able to tell the message along the way about that important work. Can't play the video here. We had the microsite and kind of showing that. If you have time at some point, go to opioidstake.com. You'll be able to see. We started with it being a landing page, and then as we got into it and worked with the Department of Mental Health, we realized we really had a good foundation of some information that could be leveraged. And so we developed really what some would call a full website. We have plans for a lot more to be added to the website over time. And this is where we get into our long-term marketing plan. So we really are focused on audience segmentation and making sure ultimately that we are reaching those audiences that matter most early on, knowing that there are other partner organizations that are doing some great work related to certain areas like law enforcement and talking to physicians. So our focus is really on impacted family and friends, high-risk audiences like veterans, blue-collar workers, other groups like that, and making sure we put our message in front of the right people at the right time with the right message. And so really when we look at broad reach media placement, we really want to have what we call an audience first targeting approach. And so we want to make sure that the message is not just broad, that is very specifically focused on, laser focused on the audiences that we're talking to. So it resonates with them. And ultimately we drive them to the website for more information and to get help if they need it. We also we're focused on a full funnel approach, as we call it, in the media space. That will launch in May with a full, really, we'll call it 4 or 5 month campaign to start with. That's much more broad reaching across the entire state, with also geographic focus in certain counties where we want to accelerate first exposure efforts, and also prioritize the focus areas on people and caregivers who need that visibility. We want to, again, educate on what an opioid is, the dangers and the alternatives. So it really is about setting the foundation, making sure that everyone understands what an opioid is, and also not losing sight. This is something that we transparently have been educating ourselves on, and that's the fentanyl crisis, right? And how do we make sure that we are very focused on that? The landscape is changing every day. It's not just prescription opioids. You all know that. But I mean, for us, it's really important that we focus and we balance the efforts that we have on the right messaging and making sure that what we have on the website is not just about, crisis and finding recovery, but it's understanding if you need help with, someone who is overdosed, what are the signs to look for that? And that's messaging that we can put on social. We can tell folks to screen grab, a post that tells, our audiences what to do if they are in a position when someone overdoses, so they can be prepared and they can get help. And from a media perspective, just at a high level, understand that as we talk about this, we're looking at broad reach media, highly targeted media in certain counties, layering digital media, and then ultimately in Q4, we are having conversations about what it could look like to be in the world of sports marketing, because there is an awareness element that allows us to get to a lot of the state of Alabama with sports marketing. We'll be navigating the negotiations of whether that is a efficient use of dollars. But as always, that's ultimately what we want to do, is find the best way to leverage every dollar as effectively as possible. This is showing, we've had a lot of conversations with the Department of Mental Health about the full-blown website and how it will house a lot of content, a lot of stories, testimonials, and ultimately this was the wireframes, as we call it, that we worked with the Department of Mental Health to put together. And ultimately, we're in design and development phase for that as well. So really what will happen, a lot of you will obviously, we've got the microsite and we'll see the switch flipped in late April probably with the full-blown website. But ultimately, it's going to house a lot more information, and we want it to be a hub that takes into account other partner organizations, that we cross-promote what's happening on their sites, and making sure that ultimately we're providing the information that's needed for them. We've also been in discussions with, or not discussions, we've been doing pre-interviews with a beginning shortlist of about 20 individuals that could be our testimonials for our stories of folks that have been affected by opioids. It's been very insightful for me and ultimately impactful for me to sit and listen to those stories and the recovery that many have had. But we're talking to a lot of organizations, and based on our last quarter's update, we've been working with partner organizations and programs like Ross for You, Alahope, the Auburn and the Opioid Training Institute, to identify different individuals that could be a part of the testimonial campaign. And then upcoming. So as I said, we will launch the full-blown website hopefully in early May. Still working through the complete details of that. Media buy, the primary media buy, or the full wave, will launch in late April, early May. Creative development is in full swing, and again, that's the full gamut of all media, for lack of a better term, things that I just mentioned, but also the video content as well. And then social media channels and engagement strategy will launch, and then most importantly, we will have a analytics and measurement plan that's in place so we can measure the success as we move forward and make sure we're reaching our KPIs as we go.
Very good.
With that, I'll open
We
any
appreciate your work. Any questions by the members? Dr. Stutz?
Yes, thank you. How do you measure success?
Well, there's a couple ways to do that. One, very simply, is how many visitors are we getting to the website? Are they downloading content? Are they engaging with our content? And then ultimately, are we reaching our audiences across the state to make sure that we're effectively driving awareness? One of the things long-term that we plan to do is what we call a brand pulse study. So we'll do pre-post awareness to understand awareness of what an opioid is and other questions like that with the state of Alabama. And then we can do pulsing throughout the year, probably semi-annually, that ultimately shows, are we moving the needle for opioid awareness and what it is and what it isn't.
Well, I guess let me follow up and say, are the people that are targeted, would you say you're primarily prevention or treatment? I mean, are you trying to prevent people from ever using opioids wrongly, or are you trying to target people that are already on them to get them to look for treatment help? And so I guess what I'm asking is awareness of the campaign. I mean, I've seen the billboards. I'm aware of the campaign, but it hadn't kept me off drugs. It hadn't made me go seek treatment. That's why I'm asking, define success.
Sure.
Just being aware of the campaign doesn't mean the campaign's helping the opioid problem, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
I understand. So basically, I'm going to go off the mic for a second. With many of our audiences, what we're trying to do is ultimately make them, if they don't know what an opioid is. So take me, for example. I didn't realize until I got into this that I had 3 opioids in my medicine cabinet. Now I do, because I realized what an opioid is. And so then I took care of making sure they were locked up or thrown away, depending on which ones I was using. So that's, and I don't, in our quarterly meeting last time, I had a slide, and I can send it to you later. It's what I call the opioid journey. And there are different trigger points, right? So early on, if you are not aware of an opioid, we want to reach you and make sure you know, so that if you get injured, you're an athlete, and you get injured and you go see a doctor, you are aware of what an opioid is, and you can ask for alternatives or talk to them about the dangers of an opioid and make sure that there's conversation about that. If you're in a journey point where you are triggered by an opioid and you are taking them and become addicted, then we have a different conversation we want to have with them. So with each audience, we want to reach them individually where they are. And so from a measurement perspective, early on, it's about awareness. Do you know what an opioid is? If you are in a position in a place where you're a family caregiver or someone that is addicted, and you are aware of that and you're trying to get help, then we're measuring, are we providing them with information that helps get them help and get them to a recovery center. So there's different points in the measurement spectrum of what we're doing to make sure that we are measuring success. And from a marketing perspective, we're not going to do everything, right? Our job is to drive awareness, make sure that we're educating and providing the resources with the support of the Department of Health and other organizations regarding, support for the challenge that we have in the state of Alabama, and then hand them over to those groups to get help, right? Does that help?
Yeah, I think early on that we knew awareness was a key piece of the education, and may direct them to, say, Auburn University on a K-12 program or education for medical physicians, things like that. So appreciate that. Appreciate any questions? Any other questions? Okay.
As we move,
Go ahead, yes, sir.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we move forward anyway in your creative process, we'll just keep us updated on what that creativity is bringing forth, so that we're able to have that and how that's going to be going out into to make that awareness, whether that's the billboards or in malls or whatever it might be. Okay.
Yep.
But I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very good.
We'll do.
Next item will be the supplemental appropriation. I know some of you got to go to other committee meetings. Everybody's had this spreadsheet. I've amended it a couple of times. The last time, you probably got the last version today. The only addition was the Alabama Society of Addiction Medicine. That's related to a $130,000 request for medical medicine education. I know, Senator Stutz, you've been involved in that conversation, and that would be an enhancement to what Auburn University is certainly already doing. I would ask the pro tem to just briefly comment on the proposed RFP for the dedicated opioid treatment center.
We've looked, and as a lot of us around this table have gotten plenty of phone calls from people that's having to deal with substance abuse, whether that's friends, family, whoever it might be. And we started looking into long-term, where do you place somebody? And when I say long-term, I'm not talking 120 days, I'm talking 4 years. Is there any place in Alabama that has that? So I called the director one day and said, hey, I need some help. I actually have a friend that's going through this. They need something for a long-term period. Where do we go? We looked through there. We did not have any place in the state that is a long-term. And so we just started looking up online, Representative Shedd at the time, and I looked online trying to figure out what is the best place in the nation that has the best recidivism rate. And that was a place in Salt Lake City. We flew out there, met them, went through the process, understood what it was all about, brought them to Alabama. And then this particular program is amazing to me because besides their setup, they don't ask for any governmental subsidies at all. They produce their own jobs. They have people that are working. They have over 160 people that are there on site. They keep themselves in line by having peer reviews weekly. And the peer reviews, when you're if you're on drugs or substance abuse, the people that are going to know you're on drugs or having substance abuse are your peers, right? That went through the same thing. And so you can get past doctors, you can get past other people that are just trying to be able to help you. But if you're going through the same thing, they know what to be looking for. So having said that, we're going to place, I would like to see this money placed and voted on to put this particular RFP in place so that we, the state of Alabama, will have the first long-term recovery center that we needed here that produces a different lifestyle and a different skill set so that they can be productive after they get out.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Any other questions about individual line items? Although we are just a recommending body to the legislature who appropriates, I did have a request by one member to take a vote. So if it pleases the committee, we'll take a vote. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. We'll send this on, and we've got a bill. You said aye, didn't you? I said aye. Yes, sir. We've got a bill ready, so we'll get that jacketed and dropped this afternoon, and we'll let that move with the budget bills the first week in April. So again, appreciate your work. Thank you out there, boots on the ground, people that make it happen every day. Appreciate all that you do. Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank y'all.